me just a second. So any secrets that you don't want the world to know, it's
Hilarious.
not it's not time to share them. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip that. We're gonna start right in the NFL since the hot. We are kind of the center of the football universe right now.
Right, right, right. Put this parlay in real quick. We're recording.
That we are.
It's all
I mean, you
good.
might as well share your picks with the people.
It's in season tournament NBA. I'm taking the Raptors over the Magic in the upset. 76ers over the Cavs. I'm taking the Suns over the Trailblazers. I'm going to pick the Trailblazers to cover the 13.
Against the
And
Suns?
yeah, Trailblazers cover 13 over the Suns. And I swore I would never bet on the Lakers, but I'm taking the Lakers over the Jazz.
Interesting.
So what do we got here? We got plus 553 on that. Throw down $20. Let's try to make 100. Ethan's going crazy.
Oh, dang. Hold on. Let me mute myself.
Excuse me.
Had to remind him, like, yo, all right, let's get into it. Let me
We
see.
live?
Hold on.
Let me share it.
Yep, go ahead. Go ahead. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself and listen to where as you listen to this, welcome to the Only Sports Podcast of Brains and Bars. It's a black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward. I'm one half of the dynamic duo. I'm on I guess I'm on the left side of the screen. I'm the black guy, although that's not necessarily why it's a black and white thing, but I am the black guy. I'm A1. Carlos, you can also call me Dan. You can check us out by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for Brains and Bars or It's a Black and White Thing. Like, rate, subscribe. You can also catch us on YouTube by searching Brains and Bars. Like and subscribe there as well. Comment, all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell, ding. You can also follow us on social media by going to @Brains and Bars on Facebook, Twitter, and I said Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That's the other one, and TikTok. So, as you can see, I'm not here by myself. I got my homie in the building. A Ward, what's going on with you, sir?
We're in the building. Good to be back. It's been about a month, right?
Probably. It's a month or so. LaRon, what's good? What's good?
Yeah, LaRon.
Yeah. It's been about a month or so. I've been trying to. I know you've been busy. I've been busy. I've been trying to get on here and do a show, and it's funny because like all the notes that I have from like a month ago are still relevant today.
Yeah.
Little tweaks here and there, but they're still very relevant for today, especially as it relates to the NFL. So yeah, we're glad to be here. We got about, let's see, it depends on what time. Is there a game before the Tennessee game? Because if there's a game before the Tennessee game, then there might be a little bit of overlap. There isn't. So we have
What? The TV's already
four.
ready there. So just if it goes over a little bit, you just might have to compete.
We have 48
right
minutes.
now. The college football playoffs about to tell us the top. Well, there you go. Oregon's at 6. All right.
So that means Florida State's going to be at 5. Washington's going to be at 4.
Yep. Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia.
Okay. Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia.
Texas is still in front of Alabama. There's 7. Alabama's 8. Missouri's 9.
Doesn't Texas have 2 losses?
No, just 1.
Just
and
one?
Alabama's got 1 at home to Texas.
Makes sense. All right.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we're going to get into the show. We're going to start in the NFL because, I'm not going to say it was one of the games of the year, although I do think it was a very entertaining game. Chiefs Eagles went down on Monday Night Football last night. Shout out to Mama Ward in the building. Chiefs Eagles went down last night. Very compelling game, very interesting game. A game to me that restored, like, there have been certain games this year that have given you the feel of like this is a big time game.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. Competitive game. It is good to watch a game when your emotions aren't completely wrapped up in the team that you're watching, so you can really enjoy it without the stress of will they win, can they win, should they have whatever.
That's how I felt about Duke, Arizona a couple weeks ago in that basketball game.
I mean, I want Duke to lose every game. So I was very satisfied with the outcome. Shout out to Caleb Love returning to Duke, to Cameron Indoor one more time and leaving leaving victorious. Shout out to him with the shoes that had, forever Tar Heel. Thought that was pretty dope. But like this game, I feel like Cowboys, Niners at the beginning had the feel of, this is a big time game where there's a lot of stakes on the line, and Eagles Cowboys felt like was also one of those games that had that playoff feel, playoff intensity to it at the jump. So great game. The Chiefs lose 21-17. The offense does not score a touchdown in the second half. This is now the third game in a row where they have failed to score a point in the second half. And again, touchdown. I talked about
not point.
I'm sorry, touchdown. Excuse me. But they failed to score a touchdown in the third game in a row. Where do we start? I mean, okay. This offense, I think the last time we recorded a podcast, I said this. Not enough has been made about Matt Nagy and the regression of this offense, because there's been a clear regression in this offense from last year to this year. I don't want to completely compare and contrast him to Eric Bieniemy, but I feel like that is the elephant in the room. Bieniemy, who was seemingly the scapegoat for any offensive failure that happened while he was there, you heard about it. You're not hearing about it as much. I feel like maybe this is the first time where Nagy's kind of been in the crosshairs, but I'm surprised it took this long. I'm going to be just upfront and honest. I don't trust Matt Nagy as an OC. I do not trust that he is going to put the players in the proper place to make things happen. Here's the new scapegoat in Kansas City, by the way. It's not MVS. It is MVS. It is Sky Moore. It is Justin Watson. Now the wide receivers coach. Like, I feel like we skipped over Nagy to go to the wide receivers coach to give him grief. I think his name is Connor Embry. And so I guess I'll ask you before I do a little bit more say a little bit more about Connor Embry, I want to get your reaction to the game and what you think about this offense, where it's been, where it's going.
Well, for one, I think our defense played well enough to beat a Super Bowl contending team. So I think that the one thing that I've noticed this year is that the chemistry in our offense is not matured as fast as I thought it would, but the defense has not taken a dip. Like, it wasn't one of those situations where the first 5-6 games you play, some teams that, and you're kind of like, they're for real. They're for real. The defense is playing well enough to win a Super Bowl. The offense, however, is not. Now, when you talk about why we skip over Matt Nagy, I think it's because if these guys are catching the ball, you're not questioning Matt Nagy. So then if the guys are there's some big drops and there's some big plays, and then you're winning games. And when you're winning games, you don't question anybody, So I think that's why it's easier for the wide receiver coach to be the fall guy. However, I do believe now Matt Nagy is not calling the plays, right? Andy Reid is.
I mean, so I'll put it to you like this. Anytime the offense stunk, it was Eric Bieniemy calling the plays.
Yeah.
Anytime the offense was successful, it was Andy who's calling the plays. I think that it is a collaboration. I do think that Matt's input is there. I do think he has input on play calling. I don't think this is just an Andy Reid show. And again, like for such a precipitous decline, right? Such a big decline, such a big fall. It would make you question. Okay, are we starting to see, like, Andy's been on this run of offensive genius, great, even back to Alex Smith, right? The end of the Alex Smith era, really prolific offenses. Are we starting to see the decline if this is all Andy? Because again, we had this discussion about the third down and short play calls a while back. They finally gave the ball to Pacheco on a third down and let him run it. Versus trying to do a couple of,
like what the Vikings tried to get Josh Dobbs killed the other night.
So again, it was a sad game.
It was,
Nate. But like, so let me give you some stats here, right, to kind of back up what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
I've seen him on Twitter. Come on.
Yeah. So the Chiefs right now, they average 22 and a half points a game. That's good for 14th in the league. So they're about league average. However, if you take out games versus the Bears and the Chargers, they score 41 and 31 respectively in those games. So that's 72 points. Those 72 points represent 47% of their scoring for the entire season. You take those two games out the equation, all other games combined, 19 points a game is what they've scored in all those other games combined, which would make them 23rd in the league. Right? That is not good. You're bottom third in the league if you take out their two highest scoring games. They're mid-pack, mid-tier if you put it all together. That's not good. I think I saw a stat on Twitter this afternoon that they've scored 13 points in the fourth quarter of all their games this year. Now, granted, again, Bears and Chargers games, they didn't need to score in the fourth quarter. Even if they did, I'm not sure. I think they did score in the fourth quarter of the Bears game because they pretty much dominated from start to finish.
Yeah.
But that Chargers game, they were in control. They didn't really need to put on the show. All the rest of these games have been competitive games for the most part. And so there has been a need to continue to put up points, and it has not happened. And so, again, to see such a decline and a regression, either if Andy's in control, we have to have serious questions about Andy and what's going on. Or two, you got to look at the new guy in the room who didn't have the same level of input as he had when he was a QB coach. And so, again, I'm looking square. I'm not to go Michael Wilbon, who hates Matt Nagy, but I have to look directly at this guy who took over and ask some serious questions.
I think a big part of it is also the red zone offense, man. That's probably one of the most scariest things. Is just like for a long time we've just relied on, the ability to get the points when we need to get the points. And turnovers in the red zone last night didn't even get us field goals. Normally we'd be upset, we got to turn these into touchdowns. Shoot, you turn two of those into 2 field goals, you're looking at a whole different game. You know what I mean? Because we turned the ball over in the red zone. And honestly, both red zone turnovers are semi unforced. Pat throws a bad ball, and then Kelsey looked like he had it covered up, and it was just a great punch. But still,
punch.
It was a perfect punch. It really was. But I guess there's got to be some kind of way to let that not happen. But yeah, I definitely think that. At some point in time, right, the personnel on offense, like. You can't just I feel like it's declined. The personnel on offense is the least amount of good players around Mahomes as he's ever had.
So, but here's my problem, right? This is the same core from last year minus Juju Smith-Schuster. Watson was here last year. Moore was here last year. MVS was here last year. Rice wasn't here last year, right? But again, the majority of the receiving core, again, the only person you subtracted who is not, major contributor, right? Not talking about minor, not the Jody Fortsons, the Marcus Kemps of the world. is Juju. It's the same team.
But I also think that that's what the one thing that we lack is. I think one even a wide receiver 2. Even a wide receiver 2 gives us the ability of, like, you've seen a lot of plays last night where wide receivers didn't know how to sit in the zone. They're running their routes, or they didn't know. There's not 2 people that whenever he breaks the pocket he can count on, because he's looking for Kelsey no matter what. You know what I mean? And I think that it's just that wide receiver 2. It's like, you get one of those, and you're looking at maybe 2 wins and or one loss already this year. So I don't know, because I don't think they're far from it. But I do think that they're not gradually getting to where they need to be going into the playoffs.
Go ahead.
I don't see what's going to drastically change that hasn't happened in the first 12 weeks of the season. I thought by last week or the week before last, we would start seeing things clicking.
And that's the problem. And therein lies the problem.
We're playing a hard schedule coming up too, right? If I'm not mistaken, after the Raiders, we still got Buffalo.
Buffalo's still in the schedule. Bengals are the next to last game of the season. Still got to go to LA to play the Chargers, which is no cakewalk, unless they have that ridiculous game plan where they just basically let Travis Kelce get free releases all game.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was so it's there. I put it to you like this: there are not a lot of gimmies on the schedule the way the offense is performing right now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, again, another mind-blowing stat: the Cleveland Browns have scored more points this year than the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've had Deshaun Watson for less game. Like, they've had backups playing in major positions at quarterback than they have their actual starter. And they have outscored the Chiefs. Like, that is a sad stat for an offense that has the best quarterback in the game. It's not as if they're, no offense to Alex Smith or to I'm blanking on Chiefs quarterbacks name, Matt Castle, right? Or I forget the name of the quarterback from Bama that they drafted in the second round that flamed out. Brody Croyle. Right. It's not like they got these caliber quarterbacks that they're rolling out there. They have the best quarterback in the game, and he is putting the ball on them, in their hands, and they're dropping it. Like you said, they're running the wrong routes. The spacing's been bad. And what else am I supposed to think? So let's talk about Connor Embry. Listen, I've never played wide receiver. He knows more about playing the position than I could have forgotten at this point. There is something to be said about grabbing these guys from KU, and we not talking. Hey, KU ranked this year, right? What you talking about? A1, they ranked. They're a good team. No. We're talking about 1-11, 0-11 KU teams that this man came from. I'm not sure if I'm Kadarius Toney, I'm looking at Connor Embry like, bro, what are you going to tell me about playing this position? Like, I have more
situation like Joe Brady comes into the offensive coordinator box, and you're like, you know what? I know where you coached and who you coached. You're good. This guy's like,
like, bro, like, how am I supposed
one of those jobs that you didn't have to show them your resume, where like you just walk in, they were like, "Can you start now?" Because if I'm him, I'm like sliding my resume upside down, like kind of.
Yeah. So, did you play the position? Yeah, I did. Where'd you play, KU? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
There seems to be a gap in your resume.
Yeah. We don't. And here's another point. This is for the homie Zach. This is why you do not have receivers on rotations. Decide who your receivers are. Nagy has us on the rotation, and he doubled down on this, by the way, today in the press conference. He said he's going to continue to have them in rotation. I'm like, no. You know what? When you decide to have people in rotation, you can use the cliche phrases like, "We're going with who has the hot hand." Well, guess what? Nobody has the hot hand. And they don't have the hot hand because you're putting them in rotation. And to be fair, like, shout out to the homie Reese. Like, Reese made this point earlier. He's like, look, when you do have these guys in rotation, you have a guy who comes in, he gets open, he makes a play, and then he's out. He's like, how are they supposed to expect the rhythm? I've seen other criticisms about them, about how, these guys are running routes where they're not expected to get the ball. So they're basically out here getting in cardio and just running around. They're not expected to get the ball. Then they get taken out the game. So then when you put them in a critical situation and say, okay, now you got to make this play. Now you got to make this catch. They haven't had the reps all game long. And it's like bringing in the shooter off the bench to come take a game-winning shot. when he hasn't played all game. He doesn't know what he's like. So again, like I go back again. EB Eric Bieniemy had a whole Twitter article dedicated to him after they lost the AFC title game that blamed the entire thing on him. And I have not seen enough from this fan base. I maybe I should go to Twitter and put in a Twitter mention and search for Nagy's name and see what they're saying. I didn't have to do that when Bieniemy was here. It was there for me to read in all of its glory. Again, Nagy got the offense looking like the Bears. I cannot disagree with this. I cannot well, I mean, I don't know if the Commanders' offense is better, Zach. I will say this.
The Commanders got better weapons. I mean, Robinson,
they got
Jr.,
better.
Scary Terry, like, you know, they got
Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
I mean, they are looking like a capable offense on most weeks. Sam Howell, who people had a lot of questions about, can he be a guy that can be a starter in this league? I think he's proven he can be a starter in this league. And yes, some of that, not some of it, a lot of that credit has to go to Eric Bieniemy.
He just lost to Tommy DeVito. I'm not sure.
I mean, look, that's I look at Ron Rivera on that one. I got to look at Ron. The other team gets paid too. So that's why I say every week. But again, in 2 games against the Eagles, you couldn't put those losses on Sam Howell. Sam Howell played well enough for those teams to win both of those games. They went to overtime in the first game, and he led them on a 2-minute drive to get them to overtime. And then in the second game, I think he threw an interception to close it out, but I feel like he got hit as he threw the ball or something like that. But that was still a competitive game. Yeah. So again, common opponents. Those offenses looked a lot more capable of beating the Eagles than the Chiefs did last night. Well, to be fair, first half, the Chiefs the Chiefs put in the work. Hilarious. Zach said our office needs a black father to yell at them. But again, like, to me, this doesn't, I know you've expressed optimism that they'll figure it out. I know there's been a lot of rationalizing about, I know, shout out to Carrington Harrington. He said today that the numbers for the offense of the Chiefs and the defense of the Chiefs mirror the 2015 Broncos that ended up winning the championship that year. That's the year Peyton threw 15 interceptions, had to be, I mean, I'm going to say bench, but basically he took some time off to
This is a podcast where we don't discuss anything negative about Peyton Manning. So
I'm just saying.
Let's get to the next point.
I'm just saying. I know the numbers are similar. However, my counterpoint to that is the problem with the Broncos in 2015 was the quarterback, not the receivers. When he was throwing them wounded ducks out there, his talent, skill position players caught the passes. They weren't letting them bounce off their chest or hit them in the face mask. They actually caught them. And so again, maybe the Chiefs figured out. I do not, as it stands today, because it's all I have to go off of, is the information that's been presented to me. I don't see this turning around. I don't see it getting better. And I think they can win a divisional game, but once they get, a wild card game, if they happen to fall, well, if they're the two seed right now, I have them losing in the divisional round. I think they can win a wild card game. I don't see them beating one of the top 4 teams in the AFC as it stands today.
Yeah, I could still see them beating a Jaguars easily. Jags are the 3 seed right now, I think. Yeah.
I mean, so I had to look at the standings to see because they're the 2. So the 7th seed.
I think that I don't want to call it overreaction because there's definitely something wrong, but we're sitting here and we're talking about them losing to, probably the best team right now in the NFL by one drive. You know what I mean? So the whole idea of I can't see them beating anybody. Like, they just lost to the number 1 seed, the best team with the best record, off one drive, off a drop. I mean, if he catches the ball and scores a touchdown, of course the Eagles still get a chance to come down and tie, which it's very possible they could have. Our defense is playing well, but like we lost to the best team in football off one drive. It's just the way it looked. It's just the way it looked. It's just a drop. It's just the drops and saying, hey, when the going gets tough, can we make these plays?
But here's the thing, though. So for me, I am big on the process as well as the result. The result matters, but also how you got there matters to me. And if you go and look at this offense, look at the Miami game. They go up 21-0. They don't score again after that game. You look at this game. You look at both Denver games. The offense was not good in both Denver games. You go and look at that Jaguars game. I think that was like 17-9 or something like that was the final score on that one. Like, this offense is not it right now. So again, when you look at the totality of their season and not just this game in a vacuum, there is reason to be concerned. Hey, man, I call it like I see it. And again, here's the thing. I'm not emotionally tied to the Chiefs.
So if we're looking at the Chiefs right now, there's only 2 games left on the schedule that, in my opinion, are possible losses. Look, you're going to the Raiders. That's not a loss. Then you go out Green Bay. That's not a loss. Buffalo at Kansas City. Look, Buffalo is one of those teams that could give you an L. You got New England. That's not a loss. The Raiders at home. Not a loss. Jake Browning against Kansas City. Not a loss. Then you go to Herbert. Look, they're still going to end up at probably worse 12-5. More than likely, they're still going to end up 14-3 or 13.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna address that in just a second. Zach, I'm gonna end it on this. He said, I'm married to a Chiefs fan, and he says he's not emotionally tied. My wife is the most casual of Chiefs fans. The most casual. So she's
Banana
asking
Republic. What are we?
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Like, she's not living and dying with them losing these games. She's asking me did they win? Like, no alerts on her phone, no nothing. If I don't say anything, she doesn't know. So yeah, I'm more vocal when I'm watching the Niners and Notre Dame play.
Yep, straight up.
But so to that point, here's the issue with the offense. If the Chiefs could just get to top 10 in terms of production, they could win the rest. They could go to the Super Bowl with that, because I go put on my Mahomes jersey right now. That don't bother me. Like, I root for Zach. I have a picture of you in the Chiefs shirt. Like, it does not matter to me. Yeah, I wear Chiefs gear. I live in Kansas City. I root for them to do well, except for when they play the Niners. But here's the thing, right? And I want to talk about this, get into this theory a little bit. The Chiefs should beat the Raiders and the Packers. Who else should you listen at?
The Patriots.
The Patriots, the Bengals, because they lost Joe Burrow. But here's a theory that I want to throw out here. Right now, the Chiefs. Did I lose you? You still there?
I'm here.
Hold on one second. Let me.
You can't hear me?
I can. I got a FaceTime call, so I didn't know if it affected what was going on with me.
Got you.
All right, so I want to talk about this theory. The Chiefs, as this offense is currently constructed, is in trouble because of something that I like to call the Blake Bortlesization of the NFL. All right, so if you listen to the show, watch the show, you know I've referred to Blake Bortles as the left-hand Tebow. And to be fair to him, he was better than Tim Tebow. But what I mean by the Blake Bortlesization of the league is that when Blake Bortles was the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars for that one magical season where they almost made the Super Bowl, 1 quarter away from a Super Bowl appearance, which has never happened in their franchise history, they were able to be a successful team because they had a decent running game, a really good defense, and they asked Blake Bortles maybe 2-3 times a game to lead a drive to get us some points, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. Defense is going to get them a short field, and we just do that, and we can take care of the rest, Blake, right? And as you look across this league, whether they are starters or whether you're looking at backups right now, there are a bunch of Blake Bortles type talent. That might be too far. There's a bunch of teams who are putting forth Blake Bortles-like performances.
Yeah.
Where anybody can be beat on any given Sunday. Case in point, I do think it's funny. The only team to beat the Eagles is the Jets. with the, I mean, he might be more Tim Tebow than Blake Bortles in Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And so here's the amount of teams. Here's the amount of teams that I feel like at this point are in the Blake Bortles mode. The Browns, the Steelers, the Jets, the Falcons, the Saints, the Bucks, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Titans, the Colts, Packers, Bears, Vikings, Chargers, only because they get in their own way so much that I have to put them on the list. And at this moment, because the offense is indeed broken, the Chiefs are in the Blake Bortles zone because they cannot put up points in the second half.
That is wild.
They are
wild.
Look at their last 3 games and tell me Patrick Mahomes threw 43 passes for 107. If that ain't Blake Bortles, what is? Like, it's not Patrick's fault. Listen. I had to good at the end of Good Will Hunting where Robin Williams is telling Matt Damon, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like, it's not Patrick's fault. Of course you haven't. Yeah. It's a great movie. You should actually sit down and watch it someday.
I might do that.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, put some respect on Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Let's go, Evan.
Listen, Dorian, who I have in my dynasty league right now, I am on the Dorian Thompson-Robinson hype train. I hope to see him take over as a starting quarterback of the Browns one day. But these quarterbacks are basically,
hey, man, ain't throw a single touchdown pass. It was crying.
Oh, he cried because he won?
Yeah, he got his first career win. He was on the sidelines crying, and you throw a touchdown pass.
Let's go. Hey, I'm happy for that young man. First of all, Zach, if you ain't seeing good, I'm about to have Zach pull up. If you ain't seeing Good Will Hunting, that's your fault. Like, Good Will Hunting is a great movie. But anyway, you have that's half the league I named, by the way, that have quarterbacks.
That's what Tom Brady was talking about, mediocrity.
Dog, like it really. And to me, the mediocrity is at the quarterback position. It's not necessarily the skill position. It's not necessarily.
That's why you can't put Patrick Mahomes in the Bortles.
But again, until this offense shows me they can actually be a threat again for 4 quarters, yes, the Chiefs have to go in the Blake Bortles zone. Not again, Patrick. It's not your fault. What did Giselle say? He cannot throw it and catch it too. Like, it's not your fault, Patrick. I'm just telling you. But to me, the Chiefs have to be careful. This Raiders game, this is not a walkover. This is not a game where they can just take for granted that
Aiden they're going to go meet Chris Stone Cold Jones.
I mean, again.
Well, the Chiefs had 6 sacks on Jalen Hurts last night.
They should have won the game. Like, bro, like.
And that's what I'm telling you. They played well enough to not beat the best team in football by a drive.
But the thing is, your mom is up on game. Thank you, Mama Ward. Great movie. But the problem is that they shouldn't be in this. It's week 12, bro. It's not going to get better. It's not. I'm not gonna harp on it anymore. Chiefs fans, y'all can let me know what y'all think.
I told everybody on Twitter, I bet my money, I won my money. If you didn't read the tweet, that's your fault. Eagles were up on 10, Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We came back to win. Chiefs were up by 10 going into halftime. Eagles were going to win. I knew it. It's a script.
Listen, when Kelsey had that ball punched out, I was like, oh, yeah. This feels like a Chiefs loss right here. Like,
actually, when Kelsey had that ball punched out, I thought it was going to be one of those scenarios where the enraged white guy gets real mad and punches the wall and then breaks his hand, because I don't know if you saw how hard he punched the ground.
Hey, listen.
And I'm like, he's about to have. It's the Gus Farrat or the, where your celebration or your I thought he was gonna break his whole hand, like hitting the ground like that. I was like, please don't break your whole hand, please.
Listen, Travis, you know better than me, but please stop doing that, bro. That is not one. I forget what game I was watching. It had to be Notre Dame. I got mad and I didn't even fist. I took my finger with my ring on it and I hit the wall, and that mug rang back on this ring finger. Oh God, it was sore for about a good week. I was like, oh God, did I just? Because at first I thought I broke it. It hurt so bad. So please
something we can talk about next time. Kelsey's looking a little washed.
Washed is not no. So but here's the thing. it's not that he's washed. There is a decline, but he's getting triple teamed because they looking at Skyborn, Justin Watson, and saying single coverage. What we got to worry about? We ain't got nothing to worry about. Yeah, we might as well be Revis Island over here. what we got to worry about over here? You know what I'm saying? MVS. Nah, they not worried about them dudes, man. Like, they got to figure something out.
I gonna hold you. That man MVS ran directly by the whole defense. Like, they did not like he wasn't even. He didn't even come off the snap fast. They're just like, look.
I'm gonna tell a quick story related to getting blown by. Right. So Flag Football League. Flag Football League. Oh, come on.
Go ahead. Hey, Ace, come get your
So Flag Football League, I'm in my early 20s. And I'm playing safety most of the game. I get lined up against this young man. He's this team was like the best team, right? They were the clear favorites to win the whole thing. We had a round robin tournament because our company's big enough. We had to have those things. I get lined up as a corner. I look at him and I go, help. Immediately, I look back at the safety. Help.
Wait, you were playing corner, so you moved from safety to corner?
Right. We rotated.
Okay.
And so somebody came in and I rotated over the corner and I'm looking at him like, bro, like, no, don't leave me one-on-one with this cat, bro. So Zach, here's the thing. I was like 70 pounds lighter. I wasn't the same size now, right? I'm like 220, 230 at this point in my life. And so he snaps the ball. He go route. Like, he already know what's up. He ain't running no, straight go. So we're running about 10 yards down the field, 15 yards. We still even. All of a sudden, he throws his hand up like I'm open. And I'm like, hey, bro, you wildin'. Like, I'm right here we hip to hip. What you talking about? You open. I look back as we're running. I see the QB launch. All of a sudden, it was like he went mink, mink. And all of a sudden, that gap, he hit another gear. He hit the third gear, fourth gear. Then he hit the Nas. And I'm at top speed. I'm like, ain't no shifting into another gear.
No.
He gone.
Cooked.
By the time the ball softly landed into his arms for the touchdown, he is 5 to 7 yards up on me. And I'm like, well, dang. I see how Revis felt when Randy Moss was throwing the hand up off the snap. But anyway, man, I wanted to share that story, that quick story real quick. But yeah, man, Chiefs fans, y'all let us know what y'all think, man. Like, what do y'all think about this offense? Can it be fixed? Can they get things turned around? To me, I feel like blindly saying that because it got fixed last year, or because, we were fine and we won a Super Bowl, or we're Super Bowl champions, to me, that is ignoring the issue. It's not dealing with the reality that's in your face right now. And so maybe they do. Maybe we look back at the end of the season and this is a blip on the radar screen and the Chiefs are back-to-back champs. I personally do not see it right now. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
All right, man. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think I've kind of made it pretty clear that, I'm not – the Chiefs to me are still one of the top 4 teams in the NFL. Going into the playoffs, you want to be one of the top 4 teams in the NFL. Yes, there are questions, offense coordinator questions, wide receiver questions, things like that we maybe have not had in the past that would, we're so used to playing in AFC championship games and, being the clear-cut favorite to win the AFC, that we're not there right now at this point in time of the season like we usually are. But I still think they're one of the top 4 to 5 teams in the NFL.
All right. We'll see. All right, man. Let's get into. Is there anything else NFL wise that happened this weekend that you're interested in? So we can jump to college real quick.
Yeah, we can jump to college.
All right, I do want to say this. Shout out to the Niners. They got a big game coming up this weekend against the Seahawks in Seattle. big game. If they can win that game, they'll go up 2 games, I think, or 3 games in the division. It's already up 2, which will give them a good chance of winning the division for the second year in a row. Brock Purdy, in the eyes of people, is good again, which, I mean, he was always good. He was not great. I think he has had moments of greatness. I feel like this weekend that throw to Ayuk was super dope, right in the breadbasket, 60, 70-yard touchdown. I do wish that people like Nick Wright, shout out to Nick Wright, Kansas City's own, would give a little bit more respect to Brock Purdy. No, he's not Joe Montana. No, he's not Tom Brady. No, he's not Patrick Mahomes. But he is a capable quarterback. And right now, that's what Kyle Shanahan's offense need. It would be great to have a Mahomes, a Justin Herbert. Man, somebody free my guy Justin Herbert, man. Get him out of LA. Man. That's another story for another day. But he is more than capable of leading that offense and being very good and having very good moments. Doesn't mean he won't make bonehead plays. All right. So let's jump into college, man. So I hate to do this, but we're going to do it because we don't duck no smoke here.
That's true.
Let's get into it, man. Tennessee versus Georgia. I did not get a chance to see this game. I think it was 7-3 at one point early on.
It was 7-0. We scored on the first play of the game.
So yeah. I saw the highlight of that, and then I saw it was 7-3. Georgia kicked the field goal, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was a little busy. I think Notre Dame might have been on. I went away from Notre Dame, came back just to see what was happening. And it was like 24-7. I was like, oh, I see how this is about to go. So your thoughts on Georgia versus Tennessee?
Well, I mean, it kind of is the same thoughts as it's the last couple weeks. You know, I mean, I think that something that I've known, just kind of didn't really want to come to grips with, was that Joe Milton is just not Hendon Hooker. And we also lost our offensive coordinator as well, you know, from last year. And we have had a lot of injuries. And I think that going into this season, it's like we kind of felt like we were a little bit more ahead of what we actually were. Last year was kind of like one of those years where, boom, you know, you kind of come out of nowhere. You beat Alabama. You got all these wins, New Year's Six Bowl. You beat Clemson or whatever. And you think, I'm back. So we just reload, right? And then we win 10 games the next year. And then we win 10 games the next year. And that's how it works in college, right? And it's like, nah, you lost Jalen Hyatt. You lost Cedric Tillman. You lost Hendon Hooker. You know what I mean? You lost your offensive coordinator. So I wish that we would have been more competitive in the games against like Missouri and Georgia because, you know, that would have kind of gave me a little bit of hope going into next year. But I mean, we do have a really, really good, you know, backup quarterback that's supposed to be starting next year. We have a lot of great running backs, and they're all young too. We got some good defensive players as well. But I just think what it was like, had we not lost to Florida, I wouldn't really have considered this season a failure. You know, had we lost 3 games this year and went 9-3, that Florida loss was just a bad loss. Considering how good they are and what they, you know, even with Graham Mertz. But yeah, that you know, losing to Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri. If you look right now, they're all 3 of the top 10 teams in the nation. You know, like if you're not a top 10 team in the nation, you probably are going to lose to Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri if you play them. You know, so not too disappointed. I just think that I thought Joe Milton would take a bigger leap this year, and he just seems to be a guy that's inaccurate and a guy that is just a freak athlete, but like not it. You know, he doesn't have the intangibles. He doesn't have the escapability. He doesn't have the extend the play, find the guy. He doesn't have the, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's just, it is what it is.
So let me ask you this. I saw this for some reason. I guess it's because of my affiliation with you. My phone likes to send me ads for Tennessee clothing on Fanatics, and now I'm getting Tennessee like content on my Google. Oh, nice. When I go to Google to try to go look up stuff, like it's sending me Tennessee content now. So I saw this about, should Tennessee start Nico? Because they got Vandy's left, right? That's the last game.
Yeah. Should they start Nico? Yes and no. I mean, you know, the Joe Milton era is over. right? However, he did stay here, and he did, really give everything he had to Tennessee. It just wasn't Hendon Hooker. You know what I mean? So like I don't know if you go into a Vanderbilt game like, hey, we're gonna do that. I mean, maybe you talk to him and you say, hey, we're gonna give you both some snaps or whatever. I don't think you just bench Milton and say, hey, last week was your last week. You let him go in there and you let him throw a couple touchdown passes. You get up on Vandy, and then you go into the Nico era, and then you kind of figure out bowl game wise. Right now, everything's Gator Bowl and NC State and North Carolina that I'm seeing, as far as the competition or whatever. But yeah, I think he gave enough to the University of Tennessee, and he stayed here, and he busted his butt where you don't just kind of like do that.
Let me tell you something. That whole bench the starter for the backup is such stupid college football message board behavior. Like that. First of all, if Nico was good enough to unseat, I almost called him Hendon, Joe Milton as a starter, he would have. Yeah. Like, listen, Notre Dame went through this last year with Drew Pine. Once Tyler Buchner gets hurt, Drew Pine comes in. Drew Pine is playing at the best of his ability, which is okay, but not good enough. And the fan base, why don't you see what you got in the freshman? Because he's not ready.
Yeah.
Right? When they played Clemson last year and they had DJ Uiagalelei and they put Cade Klubnik into the game, like his second pass is a pick six.
Yeah.
And you had the entire, like all the sports writers who cover Notre Dame going, that's why you don't put the freshman in, because he still has a lot to learn.
And you don't want to break their confidence. You know what I mean? Like you really don't want to break their confidence at all. Like I heard people talking about put in Nico in the second half of the Georgia game. And it's like, one, you have to understand that you can only play in 3 or 4 games to keep your red shirt. So if you play him in the Georgia game, then you can't play him against Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt's when he's going to get better snaps and more,
or the bowl game.
Or the bowl game. Yeah. No, actually, the bowl game doesn't count towards your red shirt.
That's right. That's right.
And so, there's things like that, but it's like, confidence is everything for a quarterback. You know what I mean? You throw him in there first game, against a second half of Georgia. I guarantee you the starters are staying in. I guarantee you they want to break him so that next year when they see him, they remind you, hey, we're the ones that broke you last year,
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, quarterback evaluation, when you're talking about the leap from college, from high school to college, is incredibly tough. Same thing goes for the evaluation from college to the pros. And I won't go into these numbers tonight. We'll save it for a later date. But when you look at the transfer portal and just how many kids, I went and looked this up in the Power 5 of how many transfers there are that have gotten snaps this year and how many kids from the transfer portal who have gotten the majority of the snaps. And it's a lot. And in every instance, it does not work. It does not always work out the way you want it. Notre Dame is experiencing this firsthand. Sam Hartman has been a good quarterback. Sam Hartman has not been the quarterback they thought they were getting when he left Wake Forest. And so you need to let those kids come in, let them get used to the speed and the violence, quite honestly, of the college game as they make that transition to prepare them for next year or 2 years down the road. Tennessee might be in the transfer portal for a quarterback this offseason and allow Nico to sit for another year. And then as a junior, he can then come in and then play. But you have to be patient with these kids because I'm trying to think. I think Bo Nix is kind of a good example of this. It didn't work out for him in Auburn, but when he got to Oregon that first year, it didn't look like this.
Yeah, no.
It looked better, but it wasn't this. And then now you have Bo Nix as a Heisman candidate, as a young man who people think that could be a first-round draft pick, which, look, at your own risk. At your own risk. All right, I hope he's good. I hope he has a successful pro career, but he's not someone that I personally would spend a first-round draft pick on. So, again, you have to be patient. But I think part of what I talked about, right, is the process versus the result. People want results so fast, no matter the process. Like, it doesn't matter if, I'm going to pick on the Vikings. The Vikings had all those one-score wins, right? And so people are like, oh, the Vikings, this really might be the year. And it's like, guys, go look at if you're watching the games, this is fool's gold. The Broncos this year, they won 4 straight. They're turning it around. They might actually be good again. It's guys. No, watch the games. You'll know that what they're doing isn't sustainable. And so you have to be patient, and patience is something that at the college and the pro level, we are in short supply of. If it's not instant turnaround, if it's not instant gratification.
Too, so the players are impatient too. You know, I mean, that's why third quarter, you know, so.
But so again, you got to be patient. Hopefully Tennessee. I honestly would love Tennessee to play Notre Dame. I think right now the projections I've seen are LSU, which let me tell you.
Smoke.
So it depends on who. It depends
then again, on your running back might have 400 yards.
It depends on who from Notre Dame and LSU are there, right? Because I don't think Jaden Daniels will play. Harold Perkins is only a sophomore.
Yeah.
But they have a bunch of kids. Like, I don't know if Malik Neighbors plays, if that, so it just depends on who all is there.
Yeah.
But all I know is this: regardless of who plays and who doesn't for either team, you do not want to be the coach who loses that game and you don't have another game for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I just think patience. You got to stress patience with these kids, man. You cannot go in here and expect to just, because the last coach had success, that it's automatically going to transfer over to the next one. So let's close the show on this. Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is suspended. He's serving the final game of his suspension this weekend. It would be funny if they somehow rigged up a device because, they like to cheat. So it would be funny if they rigged a device that somehow allowed Harbaugh like a channel from his home where he could still
CB radio.
Yeah, provide input into the player. I'm pretty sure they could probably do that with one of the assistant coaches. Like just have some type of his headset is not on the same frequency as all the rest of them.
Right.
Just put Jim in and just let him talk, and that guy just talks to Sharon Moore So if you somehow been living underneath the rock, Michigan cheating scandal, they have been accused of having one of their assistant coaches send players, I'm sorry, that would make it even more funny. Send people out to games across the country to spy on future opponents, steal their signals, and so they can then in game when they play these opponents know exactly what each signal means and basically shut them down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of correlation being thrown around of when he shows up, Michigan all of a sudden gets good again. When Harbaugh's job was on the line, now the things we do know that he did, we know he purchased tickets to games. We know that they filmed the games. We know that he had this manifesto where he talked about he could be a college coach and about this whole scheme in general of what he was cooking up. We know he was on the sidelines of a Central Michigan football game in CMU gear, spying on Michigan State.
Make sure we're talking about Connor Stallions, y'all.
This is not a Friday
name. So
I have not said his name.
Okay,
this is not a Friday night.
Jim Harbaugh was not in CMU gear.
No, Connor Stallions is the person who is the mastermind, allegedly, of this whole scheme. It's also been alleged that a booster was funding this entire operation, which, again, this is like one of the greatest stories of my lifetime. Because, first of all, let's just say this. How much would you love for your job to be to travel across the country to college campuses and college towns and spend a weekend there and get 50-yard line seats and get to watch football?
Great.
Like, first of all, let me get my scammers on. Let me take these off. Let me put my scammers on. We're gonna have this conversation with the scammers. They're probably dirty as heck, so please forgive them, but these are the scammers. Like, if I could travel if someone said to me, yo, A1, you have your choice of pro football, college football, pro basketball, college basketball, baseball, hockey. You can pick which one of these would you like to travel around the country. And not that you have to report on anything. You just get to go to the games. You do a little cheating while you're there. Get your phone out, record some signals, but you get to watch football. I am taking college football 10 out of 10.
Every time.
I get to go to and not Ann Arbor. I get to go to Michigan State. I get to go to the Horseshoe. I get to go to Nebraska. I think they had Tennessee on the docket, right?
Yep.
I get to go to Georgia. Are you serious? I get to do this and you're going to pay me? Dog, what a life. What a life. That's number one. Number two, like I've seen people try to say, well, let me ask you this. Do you think this is a big deal? And I'll add my input after that. Do you think this is a big deal?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. Just the lengths in which they have gone to cheat, not the idea of cheating. I mean, we've known for a long time that folks cheat. And I imagine people try to steal signs as well, but the lengths in which they have gone shows that like they are really about it. And it kind of just makes you think, is this the only thing that they go to lengths to do? You know what I mean? Like, if that's part of your character or whatever, is it just sign stealing? It's kind of one of those things. It's like, where there's smoke, there's fire type thing.
Dog, listen, I've seen people try to, well, everybody does it. And I'm like, define it.
Yeah.
Because if everyone is sending coaches to games across the country, then fine. First of all, Michigan, you're just the one who was dumb enough to get caught. Let's just start there. For a school that prides itself on intelligence and academia. Yeah. Let's start there. That's number one. Number two, if they're like, I've seen people say, well, there's not really a big schematic advantage because you still got to go out there and execute. Bro, stop it. Stop it. I want people to go look up the word WikiLeaks and get back to me. If I know what you're going to do, that's the game. What are you talking about? If I know, hey, you about to run, you throw up a deuce, and I go, oh, that deuce means power sweep to the left, toss sweep to the left. You're already at a disadvantage. Even if they only did it once a game, only in critical situations did they do this. You're talking about game-altering plays, and so if they profited just even once off of it, yes, guys, that's a problem. That's not, hey, I watched this game film and I was able to break down your codes from this game tape or from this TV tape. Like, I don't understand people saying it's not a big deal, but then also saying stuff like, well, yeah, Jim Harbaugh needs to be punished. Then what are we talking about? Like, that's a contradiction. You cannot have both of those things be true at the same time. Do you think that they should be allowed to compete for the national championship? Because allegedly this was happening in season before. This was taking place this year. Big Ten got wind of it. NCAA got wind of it. And then this is when it all kind of came crashing down.
So the NCAA still hasn't dealt with it. The Big Ten has just dealt with it, right?
NCAA is still investigating. The Big Ten.
I think if the NCAA deems what they're investigating to be something that, let's just say they come to an agreement on what they're going to do next year. If they believe that what they're investigating could result in stripping them from a national title, then they need to go ahead and not allow them to participate. I don't like the idea of them going ahead and being able to win a national title when you know you're investigating something that, if this was true, we would take that national title from you.
You know what?
It's just like, anytime anybody loses a national title, it's like, I still won the Heisman. Reggie Bush won the Heisman Trophy, y'all. He won the Heisman Trophy. You know what I mean? If it happened, it happened. Memphis made it to the national championship game, against Kansas. Like, I mean, we're not doing this.
Louisville had their banner taken down. They won that. They won the championship.
Yeah.
You know what?
Even if they stripped them of that title next year, it's like if they go and they win that title, it's like that's not a punishment. They won.
You're the first person I've heard actually with that stance. I think that's a very interesting one, and one that I'm inclined to agree with. Like if the end result is going to be that we're going to, if you want it, that we would tell you take the banner down.
Yeah.
Then you probably shouldn't be able to compete.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that. I really like that. So let me ask you this, as far as the game goes, do you think Michigan wins the game? They're at home.
I do.
Against Ohio State.
I do. I haven't been very impressed with Ohio State all year. Now, I haven't been very impressed with Michigan all year either.
Well, so in their defense, they are banged up. They're quite banged up. Offensive line is banged up. Lost one of their better wide receivers this weekend. I don't think he's going to be available. I also think JJ McCarthy is a little banged up as well. So,
and
I'm
I believe in that college football is never gets the non-chaos road. You know what I mean? Like there's just something about it. College football, it's like, no, we're not going to get this Michigan L to where we don't even have to think about it now anymore. All right, put it in the back seat.
But here's the thing, though. We haven't normally, right? You have within these championship chases, there is a weekend where it's just like, oh my God, 3 of the top 5 just lost, and we have not had that yet. I mean, Washington's still undefeated. Georgia, Michigan. I'm missing anybody? Ohio State. And so
Florida State.
Florida State, I mean, they're cooked, right? I just don't. Their
They win
resume
ACC championship. I think they're going to put them in.
Their resume's not good enough. I think they have only one ranked win so far. Which is LSU. So only one ranked win thus far. Louisville, man, I mean, look, they're 9-1. And they got some players. They got some players at the skill position. So I could see Florida State losing that game. If they don't listen, you talk about being upset about Tennessee losing to Florida. I think Florida can beat Florida State without Jordan Travis.
But Graham Mertz is out, so they're starting the redshirt freshman. So,
oh well, dang, never mind.
Yeah,
cancels itself out then. So yeah, I don't know. I think Ohio State can win that game. I'm going to pick Ohio State. It has nothing to do with the whole Michigan Notre Dame rivalry. I think it has more to do with the injuries. And this is Sharon Moore is basically, first of all, Sharon, that was super lame. You crying. I just let me just throw that out there. Jim Harbaugh didn't die. Yeah. He wasn't in a tragic boating accident. That was super lame.
It really wasn't like, he was sick. He's in the hospital. It was like none of that. You know what I mean? It's literally, you're accused of cheating. Like, what are we talking about now?
And not only were you accused, but you did it. And here's the other part of this. Jim Harbaugh is trying to fight this, talking about due process. Bro, did you want them to find more stuff? Like, you've already had to fire Connor Stalions. You just had to fire your linebackers coach because allegedly he was tampering with evidence. Do you want them? Like, this is like playing spades against somebody. And you know how when you play spades like dominoes and they got like deuce, big joker, little joker, ace of spades, right? And they start talking crazy to you because they know you think you about to be set. We running to Boston right now. Right. And it's like, you really want to, I think what happened was the Big Ten sat Jim down and said, look, big joker, little joker, deuce, ace. What you got to say now? And he was like, my bad. Y'all good. Y'all got it. And so here's the thing. Sharon Moore got up there sounding like Martin. If you ever watch Martin, and I know you haven't seen it, when Martin is like
some
fake
episodes of Martin, not all of them.
When he does the fake crying, he's like, this was for you, man.
Yeah.
Gina, I love you. Like, he's out there sounding like that. And I'm like, bro, please. Like, listen, you making us look bad.
Right.
Like, forget Michigan. You making us look, man. Listen, if you're watching on YouTube, you know what I mean by us. Look at me when I look at the camera and say, you're making us look bad. Like, bro, it was crazy. But anyway, I got Ohio State just because I think Michigan is too banged up. I hope it's an entertaining game, though, because I want to see a good game. And that's it, man. We're not going to go into the NBA. I know the Tennessee game is on. We're not going to get to NBA. We'll talk about the in-season tournament next week or whenever the next time we're on. We'll get into some other stuff next week.
Yes, tracking, because I had something ordered that I was wanting to do an unboxing live, but it might have to wait. Yeah, it's like, and now it says it will arrive by 8 p.m. I'm like, all right, it's UPS, so we'll see.
Man, get on Instagram. I am A-Ward on Instagram. You can get a live unboxing. Follow him. We can all find out together. Are we talking cards?
No.
Okay. So we can find out. We can find out what he's going to be unboxing, see what it is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be something good. We thank you guys for tuning in. Thank y'all for rocking with us, man. You can check us out by searching every episode of It's a Black and White Thing on the podcast app of your choice. Give us 5 stars, rate, and review. Same thing for YouTube. Search Brains and Bars. Rate, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. All the people in the comments. Zach, man, I promise you, next time we talk Chiefs heavy, I'm gonna throw the link out there. You can jump on and talk and get your bars off about the Chiefs. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Brains and Bars. Until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing. Hey, listen, bro. I'm gonna tell you, if Tennessee somehow plays Notre Dame, my wife is watching me as I say this. We're going to the game.
We're in the building. We're
going to the game.
Yeah, we already got a free place to stay. We're there.
I had to pull the glasses down. You can go with us. We can leave the kid at home. You can go with us.
Yes,
she
sir.
pointed. See, hey, I got the point. We there. We in the building. So Tennessee, Notre Dame. Lord, make it happen. We there. All right, man. I'll holler at you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yep.